So today we're going to be looking at the 2015 AMC 10B's number 22. Here we have a regular pentagon AG equals 1, and we have FG plus JH plus DC. That's what we're trying to find. So we're going to need to use something called the golden ratio. So this is the golden swirl. It's basically a logarithmic spiral whose growth factor is phi, and we'll talk about that later. It's basically a bunch of quarter circles tangent to the interior of a square, and it's kind of hard to see in these photos. But the golden ratio is actually used a lot in stocks to calculate major price movement, and in photography, as you can see, to find a focus. Mathematics, two quantities are in the golden ratio if their ratio is the same as the ratio of their sum and the larger one. So here we have two lengths, A and B. Their sum is C. So A plus B over A equals A over B. And this is phi. It's a Greek letter. Okay, so I guess this is like a golden rectangle. Basically, golden ratio is all about proportion. C over A equals A over B. So that's basically what it is. It is time for us to calculate this growth factor, or so A plus B over A actually equals A over A plus B over A, which is simplified. So B over A equals obviously the reciprocal of phi. So we can simplify this to 1 plus 1 over phi. So I found an image of phi because my phi looks like a lowercase e. So 1 plus 1 over phi equals phi. So phi squared plus phi plus 1 equals 0. So from the quadratic formula, I'll just write it out. Negative b. Okay. So we can find that the roots of this equation would be 1 plus square root of 5 over 2. The other root would be 1 minus square root of 5 over 2, and obviously that's not valid because it's negative and we can't have a negative growth factor. Okay, so that's the golden ratio. If we express it as a decimal, it's basically 1.618, and it goes on for a long time, but 1.618 is how we usually express it. So this is a continued fraction. Basically, it's a fraction, 1 plus 1 over 1 plus the reciprocal. The cool thing is the answer to this is actually the golden ratio. So let's have this quantity equal x. So 1 plus 1 over x would equal x. And x squared minus x minus 1 equals 0. So using the quadratic formula like we did before, which is okay, so using this, we can deduce that the answer to this continued fraction is the same as the golden ratio. Okay. So this is Leonardo Fibonacci. He invented the Fibonacci numbers. They're used not only in stocks, but also in biological settings. It's not only a math formula or math series, but okay, so you can see that each term equals the sum of the previous two terms, and the first two terms are 1 and 1. So I can put these Fibonacci numbers into the golden spiral, and you can see that they all sum up perfectly. So this is something I found cool. Basically, if we call the length from our head to our belly x, and the length from our belly to our feet to y, x actually equals 1.618y, and that probably sounds familiar. It's phi. So here we are with our AMC 10 problem. So AG equals 1, so does GB, BH, and JH, they're all congruent. I highlighted legs FG, JH, and DC because that's what we're solving for. So triangle AFG is a 36, 72, 72 triangle. So is triangle AJH because it's similar, and also triangle ADC. Okay. So the thing about these triangles is that the leg to its base is in a golden ratio. So FG would equal FG equals AG over phi. So FG would equal 1 over square root of 5 plus 1 over 2, or 2 over square root of 5 plus 1, which is square root of 5 minus 1 over 2. Okay, let me just highlight it. Okay, Okay, there we go. So next we need to solve for length JH. JH, it's congruent to AG, so it's already given. JH equals 1. Okay. So DC is actually congruent to side AB and side AH. So we know that from 36, 72, 72 triangle, AH equals 1 times V, which is square root of 5 plus 1 over 2, because JH equals 1. So because CD is congruent, CD also equals square root of 5 plus 1 over 2. So the sum of these three lengths would be, let me just highlight them. Okay. So if we add those all up, we get square root of 5 plus 1, and in the actual competition, it's letter D.